Hi, and welcome to sunny San Francisco. I'm here with Ramin Hasani, the CEO of Liquid AI. Ramin, great to see you again.
Thank you for joining us in our Liquid AI office in San Francisco.
It's my pleasure. You mentioned outside of data center, and that's something that we've spoken about a lot. Even today, 75% of the world's data is processed outside of data centers.
Yes.
And, you believe the future of AI is hybrid. I believe the future of AI is hybrid.
100%.
Why is that so important for developers? And why is that so important going forward?
Yes. The art right now here is that we need to distinguish between what kind of workload can go in the data centers and should go in the data centers, and what kind of workloads can be actually offloaded to the device kind of sector. So I can see there are orchestration, highly strategic decision-making, AI scientist applications of generative AI, large foundation models. These are kind of places where you want to host these things in a data center because the distribution becomes much easier and the systems are gigantic. So for hosting those kind of systems, you inevitably need some larger amount of compute, and I think the best version of these things is the data centers that we have. There's a lot of innovations that we can do across data centers themselves. And then there is, as you mentioned, 75% of the compute is actually outside of data centers, so you could actually bring computation to devices and to edge, So, and there is a lot of potential for the kind of software that we're making for both worlds. I'll tell you, outside of data center, the thing that is very important is that maximize the amount of intelligence you can pack onto a certain limited amount of compute. Inside of the data center, we want to reduce the latency of the system. So the way we are looking, the fundamental way that Liquid actually looks into designing foundation models allows us to design ultra low latency kind of foundation models that could actually, these small instances of the models that can actually be loaded on a GPU, but at the same time, you can bring in much more intelligence onto, let's say, a given hardware that is mounted on a robot, a certain hardware that powers a laptop or a phone or even a coffee machine.
It's essentially cloud performance on a device.
There are a lot of small language models out there, and you've seen the zoo of open source models out there, right? About building different types of foundation models. And the art has been always, can we get a small foundation model to perform as good as, let's say, a frontier foundation model, right? And if you can deliver that kind of quality of, let's say, if you have GPT-5 quality or Claude Sonnet kind of quality of models deployed on a device, and you can carry it and you can use it in a private applications. Let's say a document summarizer, let's say a data extractor, There's so many applications you can build with these generative AI solutions. Nobody wants to kind of compromise on quality, Quality for me is the first barrier of entry. For SLMs or small foundation models to be successful, you need to match the quality of the cloud, And for us, this has been one of the key focuses of the company, to really match that quality while delivering kind of the efficient foundation models, because efficiency is kind of the DNA of our company. We're building everything the fastest, lowest memory footprint of all the foundation models that are actually in existence today. It's this is what we're delivering. We want people to take that for granted. The thing that we want to actually improve is the quality of the models, so that there is actually a viable, realistic option for generative AI and complex algorithms for the device world.
But what's the benefit, right? So let's go down one level, right? You have cloud performance locally. What are the applications? Who's interested in this? Well, where are we seeing this manifesting in real-world applications?
Absolutely. So the applications are tremendous. So if you think about the space of OEMs, so enterprise applications, you can think about, let's go to a consumer electronics, a mobile company, So you can bring in a foundation model that can have that quality of the GPT-5 quality model, lowered basically directly on a device, and we're using the computer, the processor that is mounted on that mobile phone, and you can enable, let's say, intelligence features as we're going up the stack of development from, let's say, from the foundation models to the agentic AI applications. You can build a lot of agents, and that agentic layer is as small as let's say booking something on your calendar, or booking your flights, for a person, it comes as a system for consumers, but it could be also a computer processor that can process information live as you're actually doing your day-to-day job. It could be complete assistant for you, like for a person. And building that substrate on device, it gives you the flexibility of unlimited amount of use, massive reduction on the energy and carbon cost footprint. And at the same time, it is going to be a private experience, so privacy.
And secure.
Exactly, it's 100% secure. And then you can also use this in any offline air-gapped kind of environment as well. So that's on the phone applications. You can also now upload this thing on AI PCs. Like a lot of the next generation of laptops and personal computers are changing into AI PCs, and AMD is like extremely that's active there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was hoping you were going to mention AMD there, because I think that I'd like to talk about our partnership as well a little bit.
Of course,
we have leadership. AI PCs, as you know, in the market. We've been working together. What's the partnership with AMD been like, especially when you're in your stage of growth and you have this amazing opportunity in front of you?
Like with AMD, like I found massive synergy between what we are doing across data centers, outside of data centers, like on, let's say, client and PC, and then also on the gamings and also an embedded kind of a space. Across all these sectors, we're building the software layer. We're building the foundation models of all of those kind of layers. So I saw like this massive opportunity for us, let's say in the space of like AI PCs, for example, that we can have preloaded, extremely high quality foundation models that are really efficient, and they run directly on the device without even using that much of a significant amount of battery, because battery management and temperature management on device is extremely important. And this is the kind of thing that we resolved, like fundamentally we try to solve those kind of problems. So AI PCs these days, you can add more and more flexibility and get up to the stack. I always say, like, when we want to get away from, let's say a market is getting established, where we go from infrastructure to applications, and when you go from silicon to application, this is kind of the partnership. This is what the partnership is actually.
And you really want to maximize the compute availability, right? Be it CPU, GPU, or NPU, if you will, as well. Very important.
Absolutely. Like the coverage is basically on an AI PC now. We are trying to deliver like blazing fast performance, like on CPUs, on NPUs, on iGPUs, basically they're mounted on the Ryzen, AMD Ryzen kind of set of AI PCs. And it has been an incredible kind of journey for us, and we have like some exciting news to share with the whole world.
Yeah, I'd love to be able to talk about it now, but we won't, right? Yep. Maybe in the future. I want to lead the audience into a little secret. We've got a philosophy, you and I, our teams, when we're all working together, first and best. It's a cultural thing. It's about how we work together, how we collaborate. What does first and best mean to you?
So, I'm a developer myself. So I've been an AI scientist all my life. So I've always been thinking about, nobody wants to go after the second best thing. You always want the best thing. We've tried to build this thing. We're working really hard to really like bring in all the parameters that a user, then a company, then an enterprise that would like. We want to integrate all of these features. The first one should actually be delivered to the clients. And this is how we have been like establishing our relationship, because AMD is providing a really, top-notch kind of hardware platform. And what we want to do, we are optimizing on the software side in a systematic way. When I was telling you, like, we have the search algorithm that allows us to really find the best, the fastest kind of algorithm that can come from a space of possibilities of foundation models, and we can land that on an AMD kind of chip. That package together should go to the clients, and clients' experience is going to be the first and best, and that is something that we want to deliver. We've always been thinking about the fastest algorithms, the highest quality algorithms, and AMD has been thinking about the fastest and the best hardware class, like in each class of hardware that you guys are generating. I think these two theses are coming together, and it's like building like a very special kind of product.
Yeah, no, we're also very excited to work very closely with your team.
Likewise.
I think there's a huge opportunity in the market, and to work with leaders and from a software perspective to help bring the best out of our platforms is a very good thing. So we talk about the role of the open ecosystem as being very important to help scale and accelerate developers' activities, application development, model tuning, fine tuning, etc. How important is the word open to you?
Incredibly important. So I'll tell you, when I started Liquid AI, we were lucky in a situation where we got very hot, like because our technology was very novel for the Silicon Valley. So we got term sheets getting mailed to us. Like we had like a very privileged kind of place.
The nice position to be in, mind you.
Yeah. I accepted money from OSS Capital. Why? Because the fund was actually, the thesis of the fund was the only fund that was funding open source projects, purely. So open source has been like contributing to all of our lives. I couldn't have achieved like these liquid foundation models, like what we built today and the last 10 years of our research, if it wasn't for the open source. So open development incredibly is contributing to us, and we are not stressing enough from our side. Like we really have to like do this, and as you know, like all of our liquid foundation models are open weight, and developers can access them like on Hugging Face platforms or place of their choice. And that has been a thesis for our company. We want to be an open science company. We want to be an open weight company. We want to share knowledge. Like knowledge has to be shared. As a scientist, I've always have advocated for this thing. We've never kept any secret to ourselves, because it is just by the power of all that we can actually achieve something great.
Open beats closed every
100%.
day. Ramin, thank you very much for your time. I really enjoyed this conversation. Very, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to many more coming forward.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.